Are you a Mission Impossible fan? No.
No,
Have you watched many Mission Impossible films? Nope.
no,
Were you excited for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1? No.
yes.
Did it give you something you weren't expecting? No.
I mean, I didn't got anything that I was expecting, so I don't know.
Was it well made? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Let the intro roll.
Hello and welcome to the new episode of Agora, the film podcast. I am Aristotelis and I'm here with my co-host Nuno. Nuno, say hi.
Hello.
And today we're reviewing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, starring Tom Cruise, Hayley Atwell, Rebecca Ferguson, and Vanessa Kirby. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, because I'm pretty sure I did. Nuno, what's your relationship with the Mission Impossible films, and what's your opinion about Dead Reckoning Part 1?
So I've only watched one Mission Impossible film. I think it was number 4 or number 5. It was for the film course, and I thought it was good. I think everyone knows what Mission Impossible is and has kind of an idea of what a Mission Impossible film is, even if you never watched one. And to be honest, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 was exactly what I thought a Mission Impossible would be. And I don't say that in a good way. I think it has too many cliches. I think it's very derivative. And yeah, I think that's my big problem with the film. It is well realized to a certain point. They try to make these cliches feel fresh. Uh, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, sometimes you just want to skip a scene or two because you know how they're gonna go. It feels like it's dragging because it's just not very original. What did you think, Aristotle?
So I have seen some Mission Impossible films with my father when I was a kid. I think it was from the really early ones. Like I think the first one was directed by Brian De Palma, for example. I don't remember which ones, but I remember that I thought that they were just fine. Like they were fine movies. I didn't love them,
Mm.
but I didn't thought like that they were a waste of time. And even though I wasn't fan of the series, I got on board on the hype train that it created lately, mostly due to me loving Top Gun Maverick. I actually thought that this Maverick was like phenomenal. Unfortunately, it wasn't good. Yes, it's well directed, and the action is nice, but it's pretty boring. So yeah, massive letdown, I would say.
Mm. And now delving into the proper review, what did you think of the directing?
So starting with the directing, I think Christopher McQuarrie is a good director, and I believe that the film is well directed. Everything is all everything is always where it should be. It is quite basic, like it's not experimental at all, but it is well directed. Obviously, everyone knows that Tom Cruise actually performs his stunts by himself and he dislikes the overuse of digital effects. Uh, Consequently, the stunts are admittedly amazing. I think that's also the strongest card of the film. But on the negatives, the film is just too long. I think it has no right to be that long. There is not enough material and nuance to make for a 3 hour film. It could easily cut 40 minutes out of the runtime, maybe even 1 hour, and it would have been way more exciting and way more digestible. I mentioned that also in a previous episode. I don't like non stop action films. They feel mind numbing, and I honestly think that action sequences don't really need to draw out that long, especially when there are no real stakes. Like, I know Tom Cruise won't die for sure.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you said. To be honest, I didn't find the camera work to be the best I've ever seen. I actually thought it was a bit inconsistent. For example, just the Venice scene in the party when they are sat down and they have that big conversation. I found myself looking at the angles of the camera and at the way the background looked, and it just wasn't pleasant to the eye, in my opinion. Um, Also, the whole jump you see in the marketing campaign of the film, the way they shot it, it feels like it has a different quality. And a couple of times I was kind of took out of the film because of some angles of the camera, which doesn't happen to me very often. But I think in general, they did a good job. It has kind of a slick visual of an elegance that you associate with Mission Impossible. I also thought it was too long, and the action sequences, I think they are gripping, like the airport sequence and the train sequence, even. But again, we've seen them so many times. And I actually think the hand to hand combats felt very choreographed and felt like stunt doubles and not like an actual fight. And this is not just a problem of the choreography, but mainly a problem of the cinematography and the editing. But yeah, I think technically the film isn't weak. I think it's a solid uh, film technically.
Yeah, I think as a director, he's quite distant. Like, he doesn't dive into action like they do in modern films. He's kind of like portraying the action from like 100 meters away,
Yeah.
and he
Mhm.
always uses long lenses
Yeah.
because most directors, like especially the big ones, they use like 35 to 50 millimeter lenses because they actually are closer to the human eye, so you can identify with the characters, etc. But like in this film, they use like 60 millimeters and 85 millimeters and maybe 150 millimeters. So like everything is kind of distorted, and like it has a different post-modern style
Mm.
for sure.
Mm. Yeah, and I think when you have now so many good action films, we just watched John Wick 4. Like, you have these action films that are really changing the game and trying to elevate the genre. You look at Mission Impossible and you think, what's still special in this franchise that keeps it moving? That's a question for you to answer. Now, what about the visuals?
Now, if with visuals you mean cinematography and photography, I would say that the cinematography, in its own way, it is good. It is basic, but it is good. And the photography feels like it has, like, I don't know how to explain. It has class.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
everything is the colors and the contrast and the saturation. Everything is as it should be.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was saying about the elegance and the slickness
Yeah.
of a Mission Impossible film. Almost like a James Bond film as well.
No, but like James Bond, i- in the latest James Bond movies, they make everything blue, and they might make everything like yellow if you are in Mexico, etc. Like they don't do that here. Like it's not
Okay, yeah.
exaggerated to impress,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it serves the narrative of the film very well. I think. Yeah, we have a desert scene where everything is yellow, but like it is a desert scene
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
also inside the desert storm. So I think it's fine, and it looks very beautiful.
Yeah, and they chose nice locations as well. You have Rome, you have Venice, you have those beautiful mountains.
I would say it has, yeah, but how many times should we see Rome
That's
in
true. That's
action
true. I
films?
agree.
Like we have seen it. I think we saw it in
Fast X?
Indiana Jones. We saw it on in Red Notice.
That's
Have you
true.
seen Red
Yeah,
Notice?
I have.
We saw it here, and I'm pretty sure I have seen it 5 times in other 5 action films that are very forgettable, or Netflix action
No, and
films.
in recent ones, yeah.
Like I'm tired of seeing Rome, and I was like, oh, we are in Rome again. Why don't we see like an action film in
But
another?
let me tell you, so far I think this was one of the best Rome sequences I've seen out of the recent films. Like, I think they uses the CT very well, and I also thought the sequence was quite funny.
Yeah, it was funny. That's true. But like maybe it would be better if they went to another country like Romania. They could go to Bulgaria.
So many, so
They
many.
could go.
They had so many
They could go
options.
to Istanbul.
And
They
then they
could go
also,
like
this was something that went through my mind, the cross, when you see in the X-ray vision, it looks like a Christ-related symbol. They could kind of play with religion and stuff like that. And they go to Rome, but they didn't do that at all. That was just a random thought.
I don't know. I don't know. Tom Cruise is a producer and he's a Scientologist. So,
Oh, that's true as well.
but like just for me to finish my section about cinematography, I liked how this film at least doesn't utilizes like extreme close-ups and rigid editing like this Jason Bourne type of editing
Mm.
where they cut 11 times per second.
Mm.
Sometimes the action choreography feels a little bit too fake. Maybe that's also like a stylistic decision by the director. I think it is though, because like or at least that's how it looks because it's in your face actually. Because they look like they're dancing rather than fighting. I guess it's fine. Like,
It looks like a stunt double show. When it's hand-to-hand combat, it doesn't feel like an actual combat, in my opinion. I think you see this in the Venice fight between Rebecca Ferguson's character and the villain.
yeah,
What about the story? I thought, to be honest, I don't have much to say. It was too derivative again. Like, you see all the trope of a espionage film. Uh, then we're gonna talk a bit more about action cliches at the end of the episode. And some characters have nice arcs, and there are some nice twists and turns, and they also try to make every scene feel a bit fresh. But at the end of the day, it's another Mission Impossible film.
yeah. I would say so. The screenplay was written by the director. It's like a writer director who also wrote Top Gun Maverick. And Top Gun Maverick, I would say, is a very well written movie. Maybe it's the perfect modern action movie in terms of this genre. So I don't know what happened here. Maybe he wasn't given enough time. Who knows? The script is not good. The plot is practically 5 long action sequences that happen one after another with 5 minute break to insert some character drama that always takes part in a colorful basement. I would say like there are like multiple basements in this movie that just have like a different shade of color. Like we have a yellow basement, we have a red basement. I don't know. That looks very weird to me. There are some nice character moments, but the film is so long that those moments are way too spread out and it feels void. Honestly, to me, the most exciting part of the film is like the first 10 minutes, which is the introduction to the film that I don't want to spoil. It's intriguing and it's smart and a little bit thrilling. After that, the film is going on a steady downhill. And I think the introduction scene works because we actually see characters that were not established in previous films, so we didn't know what would happen. And as soon as we see characters that we've seen, obviously in previous films, we have this Fast and the Furious effect where we know that the stakes are really low and we can probably guess who's going to die by the end of the film. And the script is also full of action movie cliches, but there is some attempt to slightly twist those cliches. Again, the film would have been decent if it was like 1 hour shorter. there is just not enough content for 3 hours. It's pretty dull.
Okay, and what about the characters and the acting? I can say that Tom Cruise did a good job. I truly think he's at the top of his game. I think it's nice that he keeps trying to do his own stunts, and you do feel he's very committed, and that's good. I also really liked Haley Atwell. I think she makes her character feel fresh and doesn't make her likable, which was good. Also, Vanessa Kirby was very good in my opinion. She has a bigger role than I expected, and she does a very good job also with Haley Atwell's character, which was intriguing. Rebecca Ferguson was, as they say in Brazil, quote unquote, forgotten in the barbecue. Have you heard that expression? That's an
No,
expression in
but sounds
Brazil.
really funny. I love it.
Uh, the writers just forgot her character basically, and without giving any spoilers, I think what they did between her character and Atwell's character was not very good in terms of female representation, in my opinion. Um, and about the villain, to be honest, I think he was the weakest character. He didn't have much personality, and I thought the whole AI threat was almost a name check. Like they could have done more with it, and it just never actually materialized. But I thought that Tom Cruise and Haley Atwell had very good chemistry, and I liked how the characters, both characters, developed together. Uh, what did you think?
I like Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt character. It is a solid action hero, quite typical, but serves the story nicely. And putting aside Tom Cruise controversies, I think he's like the perfect action star. Maybe he's like he does his stunts by himself. He's like kind of timeless. Like in whatever era of Hollywood you are, he's always like can be portrayed as an action hero. He's he is the perfect like action hero. He's like better than Schwarzenegger. He's better than how's that Stallone. He's
Uh,
like all rounder. Like it's not like I think Stallone and Schwarzenegger more, but like they're not as all rounded as Tom Cruise, and
mm,
that's why they're not as relevant anymore. I would say. And now about Ethan Hunt's sidekicks, Luther and Benji. I think that they were very fun and actually elevated the scenes that they were part of. They made them a little bit more fun. And Ferguson, she played the character of Ilsa Faust. Was it was quite dull and typical and like I would say completely uninteresting. She only had a very nice introduction, but she wasn't as interesting as she was portrayed at first. Then about Haley Atwell, she was well applauded by the viewers for her performance as Grace. I think she achieves on being witty and like charming and fulfilling what the role requires. But sometimes it seemed like she was forcing the breathtaking British woman like way too much. Like
mm.
she was way too stereotypical. And it's something that you would see in 90s movies, but like I don't say that in a good way. I say that in like it's like way too tasteless as a character archetype. And like she stands like a model when the camera captures her all the time, and it feels quite artificial. It's fine for her to sweat and make an ugly face once in a while, like when she's being chased by two armies practically. It will feel more human and more genuine, but they don't do it. I think obviously that's a problem with the director. He just decided that he didn't want to that he wanted that type of performance by her, and I think that's like a bad decision. Uh, Now about Gabriel, I actually disagree with Nuno. I think it was the most intriguing character in the film,
Oh, wow.
though this statement does not mean much, I have to say. He is intimidating, he is proactive, he is mysterious, and he has like a connection with the protagonist that creates like an interesting dilemma for Ethan Hunt at the end, which I liked. But yeah, that's all about the characters. Uh, and no, what do you think about the sound design and the soundtrack?
Well, I don't have much to say. I think the Mission Impossible main theme is, of course, a very well known theme, but I have to say, sometimes when the music came in, it kind of made me want to laugh. I don't know why I had this reaction, but like, this song has been used so many times, kind of a way to mock
Yeah,
situations, that when you see Tom Cruise doing these crazy stuff, and when you see all the cliches here, the music comes in, and you just kind of laugh.
yeah. I think the song indeed is a meme. That's why they changed it a little bit in order to sound not identical with
Mm.
the theme of the first movie, the very well known. So like it gives like a different feeling, and I think to me it actually achieves that goal. I get a little bit hyped every time I hear the theme, but I think it was overused in the film. It has the opposite problem that we had in Indiana Jones. In Indiana Jones, they didn't play the main theme enough.
You were like, I want them to play 50 times, and now they do
Yeah,
it with
yeah,
Mission Impossible, and you're like, oh, too many times.
yeah, but like
It's different. It's different. I know.
both songs are obviously a meme nowadays, but after watching Indiana Jones 1, they actually just play the whole song on loop
Mm.
a lot of
Yeah.
times. But I maybe because I don't remember the first Mission Impossible films, I don't know how much they played the
Yeah, but the
theme.
Mission Impossible song is very much. It's much more of a meme than Indiana Jones, I'd say.
You think so?
Dun 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 dun. Dun. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I know.
mean,
Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's why because it's way too much of a theme. But like, it's it's in a way now that they have changed the song. It's not like the original because in Indiana Jones 5 they actually kept the tune. It's the same tune. It's just in another song.
hmm
But here the tune is a little bit changed, so it works kind of different to me. I would like to hear it way less.
yeah.
Overused, I would say. But it is quite catchy, and I was singing the theme after leaving the theater, admittedly.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe some scenes are a little bit too quiet, like they don't even have like an ambient soundtrack, and it is an action scene, and sometimes you have like 5 minutes of silence of two characters just talking to each other. Even if it is an emotional moment, they don't have like an emotional soundtrack in the background. And now that I think of it, the more I talk about the film, the more I feel like it's not well directed. It doesn't have soundtrack. The performances were like bad.
I
Then
wouldn't say the performances were bad.
no, but like by the actors, not. But like what the director asked from the actors
Mm,
seems like it was like just bad decisions.
okay.
I would say as a conclusion that I think the best spy films in modern cinema are the Kingsman movies,
Oh, wow.
and if the other modern Mission Impossible films are as dull as this one, I think there is no real competition for the Kingsman because even the James Bond films nowadays are quite boring, uninteresting, I would say.
I liked James Bond films. I just think this film, and I don't think this happened with all the Mission Impossible films because I've heard people praying the previous films, and I liked the one I've watched a bit better. I think this one was a bit too cliche, and I wished it was a bit stronger so we could surf the wave of Top Gun Maverick and perform a bit better. I think Tom Cruise just was in a very good position, and I think he kind of wasted his opportunity with an okay film.
I think the film wasn't self-aware because if it was self-aware, it wouldn't be 3 hours. No one, at least I don't want to watch 3 hours of action scenes.
Well, let's jump to the Agora moment. Can you do you want to start?
So about the Agora moment, I would say that the main theme of the film is AI versus humanity. I don't think the theme is fully fleshed out in the film, since we didn't get to see much of the AI yet because it's just the part one. We just don't know the we just know that for some reason it intends to kill humanity, but the reason has not been explained in part 1, and it seems like it has a little bit of a witty and condescending attitude, as if it was an evil person, which is a big mistake in my opinion when dealing with AI, enemies, characters, entities, call it whatever you want. The info we have right now is too little to make like a proper analysis. And about the theme uh, of the characters, let's say, in terms of character arcs, there is a general theme of true friendship, something like the family theme in fast movies. There is like a general theme of true friendship, something like the family theme in the Fast saga. The character of Grace is an orphan, and she never had a family, and she is in search of people that will care about her. And there is the character of Ethan Hunt, and then the character of Ethan Hunt inserts himself. He can't stop himself from being attached and developing feelings for his friends. Therefore, he devotes his life to protecting them. However, even the impossible defying Ethan Hunt sometimes can't protect the people he cares about. So that's the dramatic layer of the character. And the film recognizes that the weight of protecting everyone is too much for any person. So I am curious how the future films might develop this moral code, but I'm not sure that they will develop it at all. I think maybe that's the core of Mission Impossible films. Like the Fast and the Furious movies have family, but the Mission Impossible films have friendship. I think they kind of do something like that,
Yeah, I did
and
feel a hint of that.
then the Kingsman movies have just assholes. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know.
I don't have a lot to add. I think the film doesn't work very much on that level. Like, there's not a big intellectual conversation to have about this film, which is not necessarily something bad. If there's something that I would like you to remember when listening to our podcast is that a film can be relevant without necessarily tackling important matters. Just the fact that it's entertainment, and that it provides a good time makes it relevant. I think if you watch a film called Sullivan's Travels, you'll understand how entertainment has an impact on people's lives. Um, just my problem with Mission Impossible is just it didn't entertain me as much as it should. I think, and yeah, it does touch on the AI situation subtly, but just not enough. But yeah, about AI in general, I would say it was something very unexpected. I think no one even knew they were really developing it, and ChatGPT just came out of nowhere. I think the first big industry to feel the impact of AI has been Hollywood, and I think that's one of the main reasons why the writers and the actors are striking. And yeah, I think rightly so. I think they are not only fighting for Hollywood, they are fighting for other jobs that are going to be affected as well. And I think, as any modern technology, AI has advantages and is a great tool that we can use to expand our knowledge and to create and make better work, but at the same time, it needs to be dosed and controlled. And yeah, I think you should be able to distinguish a human made work from a AI made work. I think that's crucial. And I think people should fight for the integrity and the feeling.
Yeah, I just would like to add, since we are talking about the strikes.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that the strikers that are striking against AI, what they're protesting against is studios utilizing AI to teach those machines into creating scripts, like, because AI is not really thinking by itself. It's actually stealing a bunch of ideas and creates like something like a skill slash knowledge, but it's actually a a big sum of a lot of stolen ideas, and those writers don't want those ideas to be stolen and utilized into developing those AIs.
Yeah, and acting wise,
And
I've heard the studios also want to scan extras.
yeah, the likeness. What the studios want is to get the rights to the likeness of some actors when it comes to screen copyrights. So, for example, if you are an actor that wants to go to Hollywood and you work as an extra, they will just you won't go there for multiple days. You will just go for one day. You will just pay for one day, and in the contract they will have you will have already sold your likeness, which is like, how can I say,
Your
the
body.
way you look
Yeah.
on a digital form, and they want to utilize this digital form of yours, your likeness, multiple times in their future films instead of hiring actual extras. And also they also thought of like doing that in order to, let's say, jail some stars, like, oh, you cannot go to Universal because we, Warner Bros, have the rights to your likeness, and if you want to play in that film, uh, you have to buy the rights from us, the screen likeness. And I think that reminds a little bit too much 20s and 30s Hollywood, 1930s and 1920s, where every actor could play in one studio. They just want to cancel contractors and freelancers and just have their employees, because obviously it benefits them. And now that we had these digital revelations, and the laws of America are not up to date, they're trying to use this chance now that they have time.
Yeah, and of course, these strikes are not just about AI. AI is a part of the discussion. It's mainly about streaming services and how salaries work when people are paying for a catalog instead of for an individual project. But we can discuss that in another episode. I just have here some signs from people in the writers' strikes that I thought were quite funny. I just have two. One says, I told ChatGPT to write a picket sign and it sucked. And the other one is, ChatGPT doesn't have childhood trauma.
That's funny. I like that one.
Uh, yeah, I just would say ChatGPT and the whole AI is something to be careful about, but a great new tool that we can use. What do you think about AI in general?
So about AI, I think the government should just make proper laws in order for studios not to buy the likeness of actors and harm the industry and the economy and the opportunities for all of those workers. But yeah, I think just there should be proper regulations internationally about issues like that. And it's weird that the countries haven't established those regulations yet, even though we had AI for the last couple of years, right? 2 years now. So about I think it will be the next rebellion, let's say, in the digital history of mankind. It will be the first time in history in which humanity will have to face something, an entity or an intelligence that is far smarter and more capable than us. Best way to avoid it, according to the Mission Impossible movie, kill it before it's born. In my opinion, that only buys some time because, in my opinion, that only buys some time because this development is inevitable. Technophobia and technophobic stories existed throughout history and mythology. The Apple of Eden is a technophobic tale, but we are still here. Humanity is still alive, and I think, in my opinion, we are still fine. So I believe that instead of being afraid of the future, we should prepare ourselves for those developments and at the end even embrace it and utilize it in a proper way.
So now let's jump to the ranking moment, and because we haven't watched enough Mission Impossible films, and also because this Mission Impossible film doesn't enter our top 5, we decided to rank action film cliches or espionage film cliches. And so I have
No. What is PNAs that you say so many times?
espionage. It's like spies. Is that a real word? I hope it is.
I mean, I have heard it somewhere
Okay.
else, but anyways.
So just to make sure this is not necessarily cliches we love. It's just in order of the ones we hate less.
Yeah.
So
Oh
for
no, I
me, I
actually like
have
some of them.
yeah, me too. So in number 6, I have something that doesn't even enter the top 5, which is train sequences and plane sequences and sequences like action sequences that happen in movable locations. Yeah, airplanes, trains.
Airplanes, trains, cars, trucks.
I'm just too tired of train sequences after Indiana Jones. And also the Alfred Hitchcock film I watched. I watched 39 Steps recently. So basically, in a week, I watched 3 train sequences.
Train
I can't stand
sequences.
them anymore, I'm sorry. Although the Mission Impossible sequence was the best one out of the 3. Although the Alfred Hitchcock is very old, so it's you shouldn't compare it, right? But
Mm.
yeah, and in number 5, I have the villain that wants to kill everyone the protagonist cares for. I mean, it happens every time. It's fine. But I just don't like it when they really spotlight it. Like, oh my god, he's gonna kill everyone you love. Like, we've heard it so many times, right? What's your 5th place?
Moving object action scenes.
Oh,
Moving
okay.
object
So we
action
basically
scenes.
have
Yeah.
the same cliche in the last spots in the.
Well, the thing is that I love airplane action
Me
scenes,
too.
but I don't like train
Me too.
action scenes.
Like
Uh,
the
th-
moment that the tunnel comes and they have to.
oh yeah, they have to
Come on.
duck and then they fight under the duct. Yeah, it's way too derivative.
Yeah. And so in 4th place, I have the pen drive or the key they need to find before the bad guys. To be honest, I'm just a bit tired of this plot device. I think in general, I prefer when the goal of the main character is a bit more abstract and a bit more mysterious, you know? What's your 4th
Mm.
worst,
Uh,
4th best,
my
sorry, cliche?
fourth best cliche is arms of war dealer.
Hmm?
There is a guy that sells weapons or sells bombs or sells tanks, and I kind of like that one. Like, I don't know why, I just think it's like an interesting character archetype.
Hmm. So in 3rd place, I have the unreliable female sidekick that is almost always British. Yeah, I think when it's done right, it can be really fun. I think here Haley Atwell worked well. I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge in Indiana Jones. You see, this is a real cliche, I like it. In Indiana Jones, I thought it worked okay. I thought she was a bit unlikable. And yeah, it happens many times, and I think if it's done well, it's quite fun.
They just don't make them assholes like Indiana Jones in the Indiana Jones 5,
So
where she's extremely annoying.
what's your third place?
So in my third place, I have bad boss character, and when I say bad boss, I don't mean like he's a bad boss. I mean like usually like in cop
An
movies and
actual
spy
boss, right?
movies, usually the boss is like corrupted and actually a bad person, and he's kind of like a secret
Oh,
enemy.
okay, I see. I see what you mean. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Because at least it's like self-aware that, especially in American movies, it's self-aware that maybe the American government is not as great as we think. Yeah.
In second place, I have car chase sequence. To be honest, I don't. I'm not tired of car chases. For some reason, I always find them fresh if they are well done. I enjoyed very much the Mission Impossible one. Maybe that's why. Yeah, that's my second place. I don't bother with that cliche. What's yours?
I hate actually chase sequences
Really?
because like, oh, let's see those five characters running around Rome for 5 minutes. Like, they can show that for 30 seconds and they can continue with the story. Like, it just,
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I like them if they're like kind of different. Maybe the protagonist has been drugged by the bad guys, and like we see his perspective and how hard it is for him to run away from the
Okay.
bad guy.
Yeah, for example,
Something like
Tenet's
that.
Christopher Nolan's latest film, Tenet. He has an amazing chase sequence. It would be even better if I was understanding what was happening, but it was a good chase sequence. I think there's always space for innovation in card sequences.
Yeah, or like I like in Johnny English the
Hmm.
action, the because I mean Johnny English is like a satire and it actually makes fun of those action sequences. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. Again, it's
Or like,
self-aware.
and maybe I like the chasing in Seven because we don't actually know how the guy looks.
Mm-hmm.
So when our protagonist actually chases the bad guy, that it's mysterious. We don't know how he looks or who he is. It's actually interesting if you will actually catch the bad guy because then we will know his identity or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
And what's your second place?
love interest death. Like
Hmm.
kill them. It works.
I don't know if I agree 100%, to be honest. I think it needs to be very carefully done, or it counts as fridging. Like when you have a female character dying just to move the main character or the male character's arc forward, it feels a bit problematic. I don't love that. But yeah, I think someone always dies at some point in the film, and I do understand the importance of that, and it does make you slightly more excited, and the stakes are higher. So I get what you mean.
I think it's one of those cliches that are actually, how can I say, that they are actually working, even if you don't do it properly sometimes. Maybe at least if you make them likable and then you kill them off.
Hmm.
Like it usually works at least. I think so.
And in my first place, I have the bomb and deactivating the bombs. For some reason, I'm not tired of this. I don't think it's that common, to be honest. Like, Mission Impossible made me realize, oh yeah, people used to do this quite a lot. It's a very easy way to make the film feel exciting and tense.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I like it. I think from all the cliches that I've mentioned, this one is the less common.
I think it's because like it's one of the oldest cliches, and
Maybe,
I
yeah.
think if you watch the movie in the 90s or 80s, like all of those action films, like 2 out of 3 they would have like a bomb,
Hmm.
and maybe nowadays they don't do it that much due to that. But I would say my number one is hacking. I love proper hacking in movies, not like hacking like where they just type random things in a keyboard and they are now in the Pentagon or something. But like, if you have established that the character is very good at hacking, and you actually depict something that looks like realistic hacking, I'm into that. I love it.
But yeah, I think that's our episode.
Yeah.
We end up having a very long episode. We didn't even know if we were doing Mission Impossible, but well, we had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we had a lot to talk about that were not about Mission
Yeah,
Impossible that much, but about action films in general.
AI, the strikes. That's the concept of the show, right? It's having a film as the start of a conversation and not just
Yeah.
necessarily a conversation about a film. But yeah, I hope you liked it.
Thank you for sticking with us till the end. I'm sorry if I sounded a little bit weird today. I was sick. And our next episode, I want you guys to guess: is it going to be Barbie or is it going to be Oppenheimer?
Ooh.
Oh, mystery.
But yeah, thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.